We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. In other words, we're capping the market for handguns. In May, our government introduced measures to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. Today, our national freeze on handguns is coming into force. People like Eileen Mohan, who lost her son to a stray bullet when he was only 22, 16 years ago this week. Thank you for all your leadership and your courage. When people are being killed, when people are being hurt, responsible leadership requires us to act. Recently, again, we've seen too many examples of horrific tragedies involving firearms. Il y a 2 ans, notre gouvernement a interdit 1500 modèles d'armes d'assaut, comme le Ruger Mini 14 utilisé à Polytechnique et le AR-15. On a aussi élargi la vérification des antécédents pour empêcher que les armes à feu tombent dans les mauvaises mains. In May, our government introduced measures to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. Today, our national freeze on handguns is coming into force. From today forward, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada. We have frozen the market for handguns in this country, and our ban on imports that took effect in August remains in place. This is one of the strongest actions we've taken on gun violence in a generation. Our goal over time is to see the amount of handguns in our communities reduced. Let me share with you some statistics to illustrate why this is so important. The number of handguns in Canada has increased by 70% since 2010. Since 2011, firearms-related homicides have gone up nearly 40%, and handguns were the most commonly used weapon. 1 of every 3 girls and women killed by an abuser is murdered with a gun. The presence of a handgun in a home increases the likelihood of self-harm or suicide. Keeping each other safe from gun violence means keeping women, children, and families safe, and it prevents self-harm. That's why we're taking actions today, so that what happened to the loved ones of Eileen and so many others never happens again. Of course, freezing handgun ownership is not the only thing we're doing to prevent gun violence. Before 2015, the previous Conservative government cut nearly $1 billion from law enforcement agencies. But this is not our vision for safer communities. Our Liberal government is reinforcing our borders and giving law enforcement the tools and resources they need to stop illegal gun smuggling. This includes major investments to address gun violence and keep guns out of the hands of gangs and criminals. With this funding, the CBSA can deploy new technology like scanners that can X-ray an entire truck in a matter of minutes. The work we've been doing over the past years is working. Last year, we interdicted nearly twice the amount of illegal guns coming across our border as we had the year before, and we're not stopping that work. On top of that, we're moving forward to increase maximum criminal penalties for gun-related crimes. As of 2 years ago, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or use assault weapons in Canada, and we're implementing a mandatory buyback. We'll continue working together with provinces, territories, Indigenous communities, and municipalities to build safer communities free from firearm violence. On va continuer d'écouter les conseils des médecins, des experts, des policiers qui voient les conséquences de la violence armée bien trop souvent, et on va continuer d'être là pour les familles et ceux qui demandent qu'on en fasse plus pour protéger nos communautés. Again, I want to thank the advocates, those who are here today and those out across the country. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your perseverance. For too many of you, loss and grief is at the heart of what brings you here today. And we are deeply grateful that you continue to stand for a better Canada. We thank you for all those efforts to build a safer future for all our kids, for all our communities. Before I pass it to Marco, I want to highlight that I know you had the opportunity to visit the Burnaby detachment, the RCMP, this morning. Our hearts go out to the family of Constable Shaylin Yang, and of course that means her family, but also her larger family of RCMP, police and peace officers across the province and across the country who stand with her. We continue to remain pledged to doing everything we can to ensure that our communities are safer, to make sure that people suffering from mental health and those mental health challenges and distress, and those who are on the front lines to help them and serve them, are able to get the support and resources they need. Merci tout le monde. Je suis content de passer la parole à Marco Mendicino. Marco.
Merci, Premier Ministre. Bonjour tout le monde, and thank you to Randeep and our entire caucus in Surrey and in the Greater Vancouver area for the stellar leadership that you are showing, not only on public safety but on affordability and a wide range of issues. I want to thank you as well, Eileen, for being here, and I'll come to you in a moment. But before I move to the substance of the announcement, which the Prime Minister, of course, covered, I do want to take a moment to express, on behalf of the Prime Minister and our government, our profound sympathies to Shaylin Yang, the constable who worked in the Burnaby detachment, who sadly lost her life. In speaking with the team, I was struck by her dedication and her passion not only to keeping our communities safe, but to mental health issues. Prior to becoming a Mountie, she was an advocate, and then was recruited to work on the front lines. And the other thing that I learned from her team this morning was that she was a warrior. And it's quite clear to me from the way in which they imparted the events of that tragedy. Noah's here, to her partner, Simone, to all of the family of the policing community here in Burnaby and across the country. Our hearts go out to you, and we will continue to do whatever we can. And indeed, this has been a difficult time for the law enforcement community. Yesterday, in my home province of Ontario, I was present at the funeral of the two fallen police officers in South Simcoe, to Constables Northrup and Russell. We heard similar stories, in both cases from their colleagues. Constable Northrup had finished his shift that night before he went out into the community, and he took that call voluntarily.